أسأل إتمام ما أؤمل أسماء الشريفة عديدة منيفة قد جاء في القرآن عن الإله اسمان أشهرها محمد.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala khatam al-anbiya ashraf al-mursaleen. So, since I have 2 master's degrees and I know you guys are all students and you love tests and quizzes, right? Everybody? You don't? Come on, right? So we're going to start today with a test, all right? Just to make it fun. So the question is, but I know, I'm not going to, this is not UCSD, so I'm not going to make you write anything. It'll be true or false questions. Anybody got that one? No, all right. So, what is Islam? All right, but to make it easy, I'm going to give you options. All you have to say is true or false, right? So if you guys want, whoever thinks the option that's on the board is true, raise your hands, all right? So, A religion named after the MMA fighter Islam Makhachev. Anybody? You think that? All right. That's what I thought. I'll talk to your professor later. A religion started by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, around 570 to 632. Ooh, you got a lot of them. Both of those are false. Good thing I'm not grading this, right? The religion God revealed to all his prophets throughout history. That is correct. I'm going to do one more just for fun. A religion founded by Joseph Smith. Anybody? Anybody know who Joseph Smith is? No? All right. It is. Good job. Extra credit, whoever that was. All right. So, my neighbors are too. So, before we go on to what's a Muslim, what is Islam? Because we want to talk about the contribution of Muslims and Islam to humanity, but first you need to understand what is Islam. People have a misconception. People think this is a religion that was founded by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, but that is not correct. Islam by definition is that religion of submission that has been the same religion throughout time. People change their religion, people change their practices, but when you have revelation from that one creator, whether it's to Abraham or Moses or Jesus or Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon all of them, that's only one message, it's only one religion. And that religion, you can call it different names in different languages, but that is the religion of Islam. Now, we go to what's a Muslim, all right? So, we're going to do the same thing. Option number A, any Arab. Please don't raise your hand, because I'm trying to think good about you guys, right? Arabs are less than 20%, maybe around 15% of the Muslims. So the vast majority of Muslims are not Arabs, and many Arabs are not Muslim. Many Arabs are Christians or atheists or Jews or so on. So to tie Islam with any ethnicity would be a mistake. We don't have the concept of chosen people or any of that kind of thing. Anybody that submits their will then would be a Muslim, taking me to option number 2. Every member of the Wu-Tang clan. Anybody? No? All right. I didn't think so. I hope not. All right. Someone who speaks Islam. No? I've got that before. Like I was at high school and I asked them, what's a Muslim? They said, who speaks Islam? I don't even know what Islam sounds like, but okay. Someone who submits to the will of God or the will of the Creator, will of Allah. All right, there you go. You guys are getting good at this, man. Muslim is not a term that was started by the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. It's not a term. If you look in the Quran, the Prophet Abraham mentions this. This is to do with Islam. What is Islam? To submit your will to your Creator. So when Moses or Abraham or Jesus or Noah or Ishmael or Isaac or any of those people that were the chosen people from the prophets that were sent to every different nation, and those people that followed them, those that were the followers of Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, we would consider all of them Muslim because they submitted their will to their Creator. You don't have to be an Arab. The time now is the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, because chronologically he's the last of the prophets. But if I was there in the time of Abraham or Jesus or Moses, peace and blessings be upon all of them, my job as a Muslim would be to follow them. So you believe in your Creator, you submit your will to your Creator, you follow the Prophet of your time, that's a Muslim. Let's go. What is the Quran? All right, I know Hazim kind of gave this away earlier, but you guys got lucky, but let's go with that. A book written by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Anybody? No? All right, you guys are good. All right, man. I'm impressed. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, could not read or write, so it would be physically impossible for him to have written it. A collection of the writings of Buddha. No? These are easy, I know. I don't want to make them too hard, right? A collection of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him's writings. That was a trick, but none of you fell for it. Excellent. It is not. Once again, he could not read or write. The words of God revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. That is the Quran. Mashallah, anybody else? Anybody raise your hand? I forgot. All right, there you go, man. It's kind of the only option left. But I'm the easiest test giver ever, right? So, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, could not read or write. He could not have read earlier books. So this was what was revealed through the angel Gabriel from the same creator, the same God who revealed to the Prophet Jesus or Moses or Abraham. We love all of them. We respect all of them. So that is the Quran. The Quran is not the words of any man. The Quran addresses the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So it's not his words or his writings. Rather, this is what God revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I want to make this clear because before we talk about contributions and things, we need to understand what we're talking about. So, moving forward, there's a professor in the US, and you can Google him, you can look him up. And he wrote an article, and he's a non-Muslim professor, about what the world would be like without Muslims, right? Because we have certain political candidates that have said, hey, we're going to ban Muslims or something. I don't know where he's at nowadays, but anyway. So, Twitter still banned him? I think so, right? Right? So there's these ideas that we're going to get rid of Muslims, or we don't want Muslims, we don't need Muslims, right? But what would the world look like? What would your day look like? We're going to walk through this, right? And this is based on an article I did not write. This is not my research. This is a professor. I can get you the article if you want, but this is what he found. So it would be a world without coffee, and I don't know how you would start your day, right? Think about this. When you wake up in the morning and you want to get your day going, when you grab that toothbrush is a Muslim invention. When you go and grab your first cup of joe, that's a Muslim invention. When you go get your newspaper, mass printing, Muslim invention. Cameras, what you're recording on, what we're playing on, what you guys take selfies on all day long for no apparent reason. All of that, Muslim inventions. Experimental physics, chess, soap. Yes, soap. Yeah, sure, hope you're using that. Shampoo, perfume, irrigation, crankshafts, internal combustion, engines, valves, pistons, your cars, all of that. Combination locks, architectural innovation, surgical instruments, anesthesia. Good luck with the operations without it. Windmills, treatment for cowpox, not chickenpox, but cowpox. Fountain pens, yes, something I love. The numbering system that you use, algebra, trig, sorry for that one. Modern cryptology, 3-course meals, crystal glasses, carpets, checks, gardens for beauty and meditation. Universities. Yes, the first university in Al-Fez, which is still operating, was started by Muslims. Optics, any of you wear glasses, thank a Muslim. Toothbrushes, we should all thank Muslims for that one. Hospitals, bathing, yes, proper bathhouses and all of that were developed by Muslims, we'll talk about that. Quilting, the mariner's compass, soft drinks, not Coke and Pepsi, but we'll talk about it. And other things, cosmetics, plastic surgery, calligraphy, manufacturing of paper and cloth. And this is all based on the research of a non-Muslim professor, right? Which tells you the important contributions. Now, what's interesting? I went to school here. I went to middle school, junior, or elementary, junior high, high school, college, university. I never heard about this stuff. And I heard about Edison, I heard about Galileo, I heard about all the Wright brothers, but who was the first one to actually have manned flight? We'll find out. So, did you know? It was a Muslim who realized that light enters our eyes, unlike the Greek who thought that we emitted rays. Thus he invented the camera. The concept of the pinhole was invented by a Muslim. You can research all this on your own. But imagine, today, if we didn't have Muslims as a part of the fabric of humanity, you wouldn't have cameras. Ibn al-Haytham was called the father of optics, and he's the describer of vision theory. I kept the reference, so you can look at it. It was a Muslim who first tried to fly in 852. So even though the Wright brothers have taken credit for it, but actually historically you can find way before the Wright brothers even were born, there was a Muslim who actually tried and successfully flew a little bit. He didn't develop a plane, but he was the first human to be able to go to flight. And this was done by Abbas ibn Firnas in 875, which is in 852 was when he attempted, 875 is when it was recorded in Qurtuba and Andalus, which was the Muslim Spain at the time. Did you know? It was a Muslim by the name of Jabir ibn Hayyan, who was known as the founder of modern chemistry. So if you've taken chemistry, he's the one that took alchemy into chemistry. Everything that you see here, this is stuff that a Muslim developed. The first person to introduce the idea of programming. Now, this is very interesting because my bachelor was in computer science. Never knew about this. The first person to come with the idea of programming was a Muslim, Ismail al-Jazari, and he is called the father of robotics. Very interesting guy. I'm not going to go over all his inventions here, but they are amazing. I mean, the first working clock, he had water pumps, he had all kinds of robotics that were unheard of back in 1200. I mean, this is way before what we're taught about robotics began. And you can research him. I've put the name. You can look up his inventions. There are paintings, there are pictures, there's so on. So all of this history, how come it's lost? Right? Isn't it interesting that none of us, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I went to school here. I never heard about any of this. All the things that he invented, never heard about it. As if history jumped from Romans and Greeks to modern day America and the West, right? And that's not an accident. And that's a problem. Why? Because it sets up an inferiority complex. That's why people come, what have Muslims done? What have you invented? What have you guys done? Well, a lot. Just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You can look it up. And what that does, it makes a divide, right? Where people think, oh, that whole part of the world is just useless. They're not doing anything. What are they doing? What are they inventing, right? Well, what have they done for humanity? What have they contributed? We've done this. We made the car. We made this. But go back in history and look it up. So then we can understand the value that everybody brings. Look, the Chinese, the people of India, the Muslims of Arabia, the people of different lands have all contributed to what we have today in science and technology. And without their contributions, we wouldn't be where we are. People didn't just invent a cell phone out of nowhere, right? If the first camera hadn't been invented, if the idea of programming and robotics had not been invented, you wouldn't have an iPhone today. You wouldn't have a Samsung or whatever else that you may carry. So you have to appreciate that part of history. The Muslim scholar Ibn Hazm, and those of you who study fiqh and things, you know Ibn Hazm well, proved that the world was around 500 years before Galileo. This is well documented and very interesting. When I actually read his writings, his evidence wasn't because he went into space with NASA and things. It was based on the Quran. So he took a holy text, the revelation that Allah sent to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and looking at that 500 years before Galileo, he explained how the world is round, but somehow it's not in our history books. I don't know, any of you heard of this before? See? Now go home and look it up. Algebra, again, Al-Jabr, this is named after a book by a Muslim mathematician and scholar. And those of you that are Muslim, I'm not promoting their aqaid. In aqidah, it's a different issue. This is about their inventions in science and math and so on. So, algebra, anything you find with algorithms, developed by Muslims. Without algorithms, you wouldn't have programming. Without algorithms, you couldn't have your cell phones or laptops. All of that invented by Muslims, but we don't hear about it. The Muslim mathematician Al-Kindi, he discovered frequency analysis, and this is the discovery that is the basis of cryptography. So now when we look at these developments, all of this comes to be the basis of all technology to go past that. Writing in, I mean, we look at cryptocurrency and all these things today, but you go back to where these ideas were developed when nobody had thought of it, and it was Muslims. In 825, both of those gentlemen, they came together to come up with the numbering system that me and you use today. Did you know the numbers we use today are they're Arabic numbers? And the Arabs developed it from what they found from India. But these were angles. This was developed, as you can see here, that these were Arabic scholars, Muslim scholars, that developed the system of numbering. The 1 was a single angle, the 2 had 2 angles, the 3 had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the 0 having none. That's where you got your numbers from. Next time you write numbers, thank a Muslim. But you don't hear about it. You don't hear about it. Why? Why can we not appreciate what was put forth by those great Muslim scholars of math and science and so on? Imagine a world without Islamic morals, right? This is what we see. But then imagine a world with Islamic morals. Now this is something talking about science and technology and talking about what Muslims developed in the past is a safe zone. Like, it's very easy to talk about it, right? Because everybody's like, wow, the clock, that's cool. Yeah, algebra, wow, right? But I'm gonna come out of the safe zone, right? I'm gonna talk about something that Islam has contributed to humanity and continues to, and we hope in the future will more be a contributing factor to the success of humanity, which is morals, right? One of the greatest causes of death in America is alcoholism. Whether it's through drunk driving, whether it's through heart failure, liver disease, all kinds of things. According to CDC, these aren't my numbers, you can ask Fauci yourself, 95,000 people in 2020 died because of alcohol-related deaths. Americans. I mean, we're talking about COVID, but these deaths happen every year. Every year, almost 100,000 of your fellow Americans, not talking about Europe, not talking about South America, not talking about the world, not talking about, just in America, die from alcoholism. But imagine if the world adopted Islamic morals, and as Muslims, we're not allowed to drink alcohol, right? Now think about that. Why not? Right? And I know we're at state, so this is going to be a hard push. But think it through, right? If we all get drunk, right? Is it going to harm God? No. Is it going to stop the universe? No. Heaven, hell? No. Mecca is going to be Mecca, Medina is going to be Medina. Who's it going to harm? Us. You see the ill effects of alcoholism on your campus every day. I'm not gonna detail them because you know them better than me. Even if many people ignore it, even if many people turn a blind eye to it, you see it, right? Imagine a world with Islamic morals without alcoholism, and how wonderful would that be? Let's talk about the housing bubble. Like, Islam has solutions. Muslims sometimes are shy to talk about them, but I'm not. And I'm going to look forward to your questions, please. I mean, we want to have this interactive discussion. When we look at how the housing bubble works, you have subprime mortgages, interest rates that are given to people that, according to economics, they're not supposed to have, and then too many people buy houses on riba, which is an Islamic word for interest, and then when they're not able to pay their payments, there's foreclosures, we have a bubble. Islam forbids interest, right? Just think this through. I mean, I'm sure all of you live in San Diego, but how many of you know the housing prices in San Diego? Raise your hands. You don't know the housing prices? Come on, man. I know you're all awake, man. Don't act like you're sleeping. This isn't one of your sleeping classes. You're not online. Right? So think about it. How much is a average house in San Diego? 700,000? All right. You live in a nice neighborhood. But yeah, that's true. Well, no, that's true. That's actually probably a middle-class neighborhood in San Diego. I know, I live in San Diego too. So, 700,000. Okay. Who has $700,000 cash? Any of you? If you do, be careful going to your car tonight. All right. So, 700,000 cash. Nobody has it. So why are houses so expensive? Because everybody thinks I'm gonna get a mortgage payment. I'm just gonna pay $1,000 a month. Nobody thinks maybe I'll lose my job. Maybe Corona will hit. Maybe I'll have an accident. Maybe I'll have some emergency. Maybe things will go awry. Somebody will be sick in my family, and then I won't make those payments. And what will happen? The bank will take my money. The bank will take my house. The bank will take my credit. I won't be able to get a cell phone anymore. I'll be homeless, and that's a reality for many people in San Diego. But that would be done away with Islam, because you wouldn't have interest-based financing. So people would have to buy houses from what they can afford, so houses would come down. So students like yourselves would be able to buy a house, as unimaginable as that can be right now. right? This is thing, you would no longer have those bubbles and busts. You would no longer have people becoming homeless because they lost their jobs. These are solutions that Islam provides to problems that mankind faces. Let's talk about no more world hunger, right? Per David Beasley, and this is something you can look up, he's the director for United Nations Food Program, just 2% of Mr. Elon Musk's wealth would solve world hunger. That's interesting. 2%. Anybody heard of a concept where somebody gives 2.5% of their wealth? Islam. In Islam, we have 5 pillars, right? First, the belief, right, in shahadatain, in testifying. Then the prayer. Then we have fasting, hajj, zakat. One of them being the poor due, right? Not money that goes to the church, not money that goes to priests or preachers or organizations or the Vatican or anything like that. Rather, 2.5%, not 2%, but 2.5% of every Muslim's wealth, not income, but money that they have saved, goes to the poor and needy. Just imagine if Elon Musk was Muslim and he paid 2.5%, not to the mosque, not to an imam, to the poor. According to the UN, non-Muslim numbers, it would end world hunger. Think about that. People starving all over the world, all over the globe. If Islam came as the moral code for humanity, world hunger would end. According to the UN, just with Elon Musk, let alone imagine Mr. Bezos and all those other guys, we wouldn't have poor people. We wouldn't have people that would be going to sleep hungry. We wouldn't have all those problems if the wealthy would, 2.5%, he wouldn't even notice, right? So now, I've talked about some of the contributions, I've talked about some of the morals, but the most important part of this discussion is a discussion. We're here to answer questions. We are here to discuss. There is no question off the table. There's no question that's taboo. So here I want to open it up. If people that are upstairs that want to come down and ask the questions, feel free. If you're here, raise your hand, ask your question. If you're Muslim, please hold your questions, because you see me at the mosque all the time. You can ask me. We would give preference to those that are not Muslim to be able to use this opportunity to ask their questions. Go for it. All right.
آمنت أن الآخرة لا بد يوما آتية كل الخلائق حاضرة كل السرائر بادية آمنت أن الآخرة لا بد يوما آتية كل الخلائق حاضرة كل السرائر بادية